What's going on, everybody? It's Home Loan Drew. Welcome to another quick live. This one's going to be real quick, but I wanted to take a second to share some experiences from yesterday. Yesterday was packed with all kind of unique scenarios, too particularly when it comes to VA loans. And so what I want to do is talk to you guys about what happened yesterday and how we were able to overcome and get some big wins for veterans. There's a lot of I was speaking to a family yesterday evening, and there's just a lot of misconceptions, even from within the VA community, from the veterans themselves, on the capabilities of their own VA loan. And really, what we're finding is that truly not every lender can do what others can. And so, working for an organization like this one, I'm able to see that because we don't have any VA overlays, we don't have any extra rules and guidelines that kind of get in the way of what veterans are able to do with their benefit. And so, hearing some of the examples and some of the concerns that were brought up by other lenders to these folks who almost gave up on their home purchase goal is really disheartening, but encouraging, because if we do videos like this, it enables us to get the word out there. So I wanted to just take a second and talk to you guys about four kind of misconceptions in the VA community or in the VA loan process, or and what it's truly capable of. So let's jump into it. And the first thing I want to bring to light here has a little bit to do with history, uh, particularly when it comes to your employment history, credit history, that type of thing. So what we talked about is yesterday with this family was this. Okay, adverse credit history. So in this case, the borrower had some credit mishaps in the past, some collections and things like that, and they were concerned, and they were being told that they had to take care of these things. And what was concerning about it is that they didn't necessarily have to do that, because of the fact that VA does have adverse credit data guidelines that help us to understand what to do. So basically, look at this. Check this out. It says, if in circumstances not involving bankruptcy, satisfactory credit is generally considered to be reestablished after the borrower has made satisfactory payments for 12 months after the date of the last derogatory credit item was satisfied. Okay. Now, if there's collections and things like that, let's see let's have the veteran clean those things up and then show 12 months of being on time with their bills that are showing their credit. I have facilitated this many times. And even though the automated approval system for VA may not approve of this type of allowance, it may say, "Hey, hang on, refer." We can still do it because the underwriter can look and see, "Oh, wow, okay, this person has had satisfactory history since becoming or since the derogatory event," and we're able to then make it happen with a manual approval. So just because a veteran has some negative derogatory history doesn't mean that they're automatically going to get denied. Again, if we get an automated approval, great. But even if the approval comes back with a denial or a refer, excuse me, we can have the underwriter look at it and see if it makes sense. According to this guideline, we're able to basically look at the last 12 months and say, listen, has the veteran demonstrated that they have recovered from these derogatory events? So it doesn't mean that, if you're not able to get an automated approval, doesn't mean that we've got to say, hey, we can't do it or anything like that. It is truly something that can be overcome. All right. Now, the next thing I want to bring up here is when it comes to rental history. Okay. Rental history. This particular family has a home up north, and they were curious, or they were being told that they had to have the home rented out for an extended period of time in order to use the rental income to help them offset their payment. What does VA actually say about this? Okay, not us as a lender, VA. Okay, and this is why it's important to work with a lender that doesn't have extra rules that get in the way. VA says, hey, listen, if they've got a rental agreement, get a copy of it. But even if they don't, even if you haven't, so a veteran is leaving their house, moving to another home, and they have not yet rented out the old house, we as a lender can simply go in, look at the market in the area, and figure out if the market is strong, When it comes to rental, obviously here in Florida, it's really strong, so there's no issue there. And we can just kind of do some research, very light research, to see, well, what would this home rent for? And we can use that estimate and that research to offset the rental income on the veteran's departing residence. Now, here it is. I'm talking to a family yesterday. They're being told that they have to rent out their home for at least 2 to 3 years, right? Departing residence, in order to use the rental income that they've been receiving since March of 2023. Even if it was less than a year, we can obtain a lease. And even if it was yesterday where they just left the house and they were wanting to move to a new home, right? We can offset that departing residence liability. It's incredible. Don't be mis, misunderstood, or don't don't allow an overlay by a lender to get in the way of what's actually capable of happening with a VA loan. This is very important, and I want to shout out to the agent. If you're watching, you know who you are, who was able to identify this because he's very familiar, very experienced with VA loans, and was able to say, "Hey, hang on a minute, before you give up on your purchase goal here and throw out, $30,000, $40,000 in rent for the next 12 months. Let's have you talk to another lender who I think can make this happen." So shout out to you for being knowledgeable about this, and then of course connecting them the right way to someone that can actually make this happen. So here it is. I mean, listen, you can check out the market and see if the market's strong for lease, and use market rent analysis. And this isn't an appraisal by any means. This is just looking online. And I've done it by simply printing out what homes comparable to the one that the veteran is leaving rent for in the area, and we're good to go. So incredible opportunity for veterans there. Now, real quick, again, I told you, I promised you guys I'd keep this one quick. Let's take a quick look over at the next awesome benefit here. And what I'm going to do is pull this up here. So let's see. Screen. There we go. And we're going to hop over to this one. Now, this one is a little bit different. Okay. This one is, hey, what happens if a veteran doesn't have a clean 2-year work history? All right. So let's check this one out, because this one was awesome. So this family I was talking to yesterday, they had interruptions in their income. And specifically speaking, this family, one of the borrowers was a travel nurse. And so they were from one contract to the next, one contract to the next, and being told by the previous lender, hey, we may have to have that. We may not be able to use your income because of that. Well, what does VA say? What does VA directly say? Look at it. Here's the guideline right here. Effective income, which is income we can use to qualify the veteran and their family. It says income analysis is not an exact science. It requires a lender to underwrite each loan on a case-by-case basis using good judgment and flexibility when warranted. Guys, the culture matters. The underwriting culture, the CEO of the lender, the investment, the secondary department, which is a way above what we're going to talk about here. But long story short, the culture and the way in which they look at credit risk is very important. Okay, lack of overlays, guys. So what does this mean for this family who has variable income going from one contract to the next, and it's not quite a regular W-2 job? It means that we are likely able to make it happen because they've done it for quite a while. And by the way, being on leave is not an automatic disqualifier. They were told something along those lines as well. So you've got to really understand how these things actually work and be able to facilitate them. So do not, for a veteran, remember, if your income is a little wonky, or if you've had some gaps in employment, very likely we'll be able to still utilize it. And on the case where we have a travel nurse, for example, we're going to look at, okay, well, how long have you been doing the traveling? Have you shown consistently that you can, go from contract to contract? Take a look at these guidelines here. It says borrower's past employment record. Okay, you demonstrated that you've gone from contract to contract consistently. Borrower's training and education. Boom, this is a licensed nurse, so we're good there. Borrower's training and education, we already said that. Type of employment, right? So steady healthcare. And then, of course, only verified income can be considered. Document it, right? Show that, W-2, pay stubs, and we should be good to go. It just makes sense, and that's why VA says make Just use good judgment, right? But if the culture is not right at the lender you're working with, then you may have problems there. All right, so we're gonna pause that one there. And guys, what do you think so far? Just comment. I mean, this is incredible stuff that apparently is hard to find out there, and we're going to put an end to that by education, by being familiar with what actually is possible, and go from there. The last thing is on here. Let me pull it up for you guys. So the last thing that we want to talk about here is on the rental income guidance, which I think, let's see here, 12 months, clean history. We already did that one. Credit guidance. I think we're looking at this one. Yeah, no, so we already did rental income. Sorry. So what happens when a borrower has credit? All right, a veteran has so-so credit, or someone on the file has so-so credit, or maybe even doesn't have a credit score. Would you believe that VA does not have a minimum credit score, as you can see clearly on the screen right now? That's right. VA does not have a minimum credit score. How in the world do we underwrite a file without credit score? How do you analyze risk without credit score? Well, guess what? VA tells you right there. It says, for borrowers with no established credit history, base the determination on the borrower's payment record on alternative or non-traditional credit directly from the borrower or creditor in which a payment history can be verified. Has the veteran been paying rent for a while? Right? Has the veteran been paying on a debt that doesn't show on their credit? How about cable bill? Right? There's different things that we can obtain history on to demonstrate good payment history and utilize that to approve a veteran for a VA loan. So you don't necessarily have to have credit scores. You don't necessarily have to have 2 or 3 minimum, or even a significant history of credit, right? This is perfect for, as it says here, borrowers who have not developed good credit history or a credit history, excuse me. They've used cash. They've been responsible. They've Dave Ramsey'd it the whole time, right? And just kind of cash flowed things and bought things as they go. And so this is a very simple process, but again, it may be complicated if the lender is not in tune or capable of doing these things, sticking straight to the VA guidelines, and if the loan officer, frankly, is not familiar with these guidelines. So we're going to wrap it up. I told you guys it would be quick. I appreciate you guys taking this time to go through it. 13 minutes here. There's my alarm. So we're going to wrap it up. I thank you all very much for watching this thoroughly, because what ends up happening here is veterans benefit, right? The whole purpose of this loan program is to make sure that veterans, when they desire steady housing of their own, that it can be done if and when it is at all possible. And so you got to understand how the guidelines work, and you got to understand that there are VA home loan hacks out there that you need to know about. So if you're just joining this video, go back. I see some folks jumping in now. Go back and watch the entire video so you can be well informed on how VA loans operate and how you can best facilitate folks, just like this amazing realtor I worked with yesterday, who said, hey, hang on a second, guys. I need you to talk to Andrew, because I'm pretty sure the issues that you're being told about on this at this previous lender are not quite what can be done by a VA loan. So, and he was 100% right, well informed, well educated, and aware of what VA loan capabilities are, and he was able to then pass that information on to the family that we talked to last night. So thank you guys again for watching, and please like and share this video, and we'll talk to you guys on the next live. Take care.